Hi, this is Kat White, and in this video, users of Adobe Photoshop will learn how to scan images using a flatbed scanner, separate the images into separate image files, and finally make some basic corrections. To start off with, we're going to open up Photoshop, so I go to my Start menu, All Programs, scroll down to Adobe Master Collection CS5, and finally click on Adobe Photoshop. Wait patiently while Photoshop opens. Once Photoshop opens, then what we're going to do is import the pictures from the scanner. So I'm going to go to the File menu, come down to Import, and then I'm going to choose WIA Support, which will connect me to the scanner. A wizard pops up, and I can choose my destination for the images. And once I have the image destination chosen, I'm going to click on the Start menu. That brings up a choice of scanners. If I had multiple devices, there would be more than one, but since I only have one scanner, I'm going to just leave the selection as it is and click on OK. Now, before I start scanning, I'm going to make sure that the settings for the scanned image are what I like. So I'm going to leave this at color picture, and then I'm going to check on the quality. By default, the quality is set at 150 dpi, that's dots per inch. Those are the little bits of color that make up the picture. And for my purposes, I'm going to bump that up to 300. 300 is what you would normally use for print. Now, you can increase this number to 1200, 2400, and you might want to increase the number to a much larger number. So for example, if you have a little tiny picture that's maybe an inch by 2 inches and you need to scan that, you might want to scan that as something with more dots per inch. But the pictures that I'm scanning will be just fine if I stick to 300. So that's what I'm going to do. And then I'm going to click on OK. And the first thing I'm going to do is click on Preview. Now, once I click on Preview, the first time that I scan, I'm going to have to wait for the bulb to warm up. Scanner bulbs operate at a high temperature, and if they don't warm up gradually, they could pop, and that would be a bad thing. So we're going to sit here patiently and wait for our scanner bulb to warm up. So in just a few minutes, you'll hear the noise of the scanner bulb. And then you'll hear the scanner. Okay, and what we get is a rough outline of the 3 pictures that I have on the glass. Now remember, when you put these on the glass, you can put more than one picture, but try to put them as straight up and down as possible. It'll make less work for you later. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the handles at the corner to adjust the edges of my scan so that they are just about to the edges of the pictures, so I have less cropping to do. And that's about where I'm going to start this one. So right about there. And then I'm going to choose Scan, and then wait patiently for the scan and then the images to open in Photoshop. My photos have now opened in Photoshop, and I am ready to separate the images. You can see I have 3 pictures there, and I'm going to want to turn all 3 of these into separate images for use in another project. And first, what I want to do is save the master. Always save your master picture, and so I'm going to save that as File, Save As, and I'm going to save all of mine as JPEGs. Remember to choose a meaningful name and click Save. And I always like to save my photos as the largest possible file size with the least possible compression. And then I'm going to click OK. And you'll notice that the file name on the tab up here changes so that you can tell that I have actually saved my pictures. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select one of the pictures to start with. And I already have the rectangular marquee tool chosen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over and I'm going to hold down the left mouse button. And I'm going to draw a box around the first picture. Now I want to get this as precise as possible so it'll save me a little bit more time with cropping later. So that's good. Now I'm a big fan of keyboard shortcuts. So now that I have the picture selected, I'm going to copy the picture, and I do that by holding down the Control key and tapping the letter C. That's for copy. I'm going to get myself a new photo canvas in Photoshop, and I do that by another shortcut. This one's Control N for new. And these numbers right here, the height and the width, that's magically the size of the picture that I want because I selected the picture first. And I'm going to give it a name. I'm going to call this one Little Boy. And click on OK. And I'm going to get a new canvas. Now I'm going to paste the image into the canvas. Again, I have a shortcut. It's not Control P. Control P is not paste. Control P is print. Paste is Control V. So I hold down the Control key, click on the letter V. And now I have the picture of the small boy. And I'm going to have to do a little bit of cropping to get rid of the white area on this side of the canvas. So I go over to the toolbar and I choose the crop tool. And now I'm just going to select the whole canvas for a start. And this time I only really need to trim the left-hand side. So I'm going to pull that in just a little bit, double-click to select that crop, and now I'm going to save the image. So I do Control-Shift-S, and again I'm going to choose JPEG from the list, and I'm going to save this. And I'm going to leave the settings as they are with the highest quality, and I'm going to click on OK, and that will save my picture. Okay, and now basically what I'm going to do is repeat the process for the other two pictures. So now what I've done is I have scanned my original picture, saved it, and then I have cut it into 3 individual pictures. Now, this one, the color is a little bit bright on this, a little bit faded looking, and so I'm going to update the color a little bit. I'm going to go to Image, and I'm going to go to Adjustments and choose Levels. That brings up the Levels window, which is here. And what I'm going to do is, let me pull this over to the side so you can see what happens. I'm going to take the slider on the left-hand side, which controls the dark range, I'm going to pull that in, and you'll notice that the color becomes richer as I move in. Okay, and then I'm going to move in the right side just a little bit. There we go, and I'm going to click on OK, and you'll notice that that gives me slightly richer color, and I'm going to do a Control S to save that one. One other common correction that you may need to make is when you have a picture that is crooked. And so I brought up a picture here that is crooked. And one of the things that you can do is straighten the picture. And the best thing to start with is making sure that you can see these rulers at the top and the side. And so if you go to View, you'll put the check mark next to ruler if it's not already there. And then what you'll do is drag in a guideline from the side. And I like to drop that right over something that should be straight but isn't, like this corner of the wall. And then click on the Move tool. And I can't select the background yet because it's locked. So I'm going to come over here to the background, and I'm going to choose Layer from Background and click OK. And what that's going to do is it's going to let me manipulate this part of the image. Now you'll notice when I move over the corner, it turns into a little angled arrow with two arrowheads on it. And what I can do now is click the left mouse key and then drag. What I'm doing is rotating the picture. What I want to do is I want to line that wall up with that guideline that I dragged out. And when that's straight, I'm going to double click and deselect the picture. Now what I'm going to do is make it so that I can see the whole picture, so I choose Reveal All. I'm going to choose Control 0 once again, so that lets me see the whole thing. Now you can see just how crooked that picture was. That's what happens sometimes when pictures are taken by small children or taken in a hurry. And so now I'm going to click on the Crop tool and come out here, and I'm going to have to crop away a lot of this picture in order to get something that looks straight. But I want to leave as much as possible of the action in the middle of the picture. So I'm going to crop the bottom right there, and I'm going to bring down the top and leave as much as possible in there, right about there. And then I'm going to pull in the side there, and once more I'm going to pull in this side and get rid of that transparent part at the top. Okay, and then I'm going to double click on the picture, and there I have a straightened and cropped picture. And then I'm going to just save this once more. And save. And that's all there is to scanning, cropping, and that's all there is to scanning multiple images in Photoshop, separating them into files, and making some basic edits.